funny. No matter what you do, man, you still gonna have haters and critics. Now, it's funny. People used to say, dang, Alan, man, your videos are so long. Change my format. Now, the only time you're going to see lengthy videos is if you're a Patreon subscriber of mine and you're paying for it. But I still got a handful of haters. Somebody complimented me. They said, dang, Alan, I noticed in your new format, you get straight to the point. You don't even no long musical intros. You have videos where you had excerpts from famous movies at the beginning. You're not doing that anymore. Nope. Getting right to the point. People say, Alan, you ramble and digress away from the main topic too much. I haven't done that. But yet, haters are still coming. Which brings me to this video. You would think with my new format, where I'm only doing no more than 15 minutes for my YouTube general public, that I wouldn't have really any haters or critics, coming in my comment section. But yet, I still got some. Still got some coming in. And I'm not surprised. I'm realistic. I know what's up. But yeah, I just, I don't plan on doing this too often. I'm going to do it for this video. But I want to get away from doing videos that are basically responses and rebuttals to things that either people say in my comment section and or things that people say in other people's videos or live streams. I mean, I might do that from time to time, but generally, I am slowly but surely moving away from that. I don't want to take time doing videos that are going to be responses and rebuttals to other people's comments in other videos or live streams or even in my own comment section. But for this video, I am going to tackle a few things. Number one, I had, first of all, I'm going to highlight a good comment instead of just highlighting negative comments. I had a commenter echo the sentiments of what this guy said when I was at last year's 21 convention. To remind you, when I spoke at last year's 21 convention in early October, or was it mid-October? One of those, early to mid-October of last year in Orlando, Florida. Matter of fact, 21 convention just had an event this weekend called their Patriarch edition. I was in the lobby and I had a group of guys that just had this half circle around me, asking me questions and complimenting me on my speaking presentation and that type of thing. And I had one guy, he said, there's a few guys actually asked me this question. They said, Alan, you're different than pretty much just about every speaker here in the sense that you're about the only speaker here that has more male haters and critics than female haters and critics. And that's true. I've talked about that a lot. Yeah, because most of the other guys who were featured speakers at the 21 convention, both in 2017, 2018, I would say no less than 50% or more of their harshest critics and haters are women. I would say more specifically, feminist types. But yeah, social justice warrior types. Most of their critics, harshest critics and haters are women. Whereas me, man, I would estimate that probably 80 to 90% of my biggest haters and harshest critics are other men. Like if you look at my comment section on almost all my videos, you rarely see women come into my comment section criticizing the content of my videos or calling me names. Now, I know from my experience over at AskMan.com that I definitely do have a percentage of female critics and haters out there. I was probably the number one platform I was on where I had probably just as many, if not more, female haters and critics than men was when I used to post on AskMan.com back between 2002 and 2006. But since then, yeah, man, I'd say definitely 3/4 or more of my harshest critics and haters have been other men. And anyway, guys were asking that. They said, like, why do you think that is? And before I could respond, this one guy responded and he said, I know why. And he said the same thing that this guy recently in my last video where I fired back at the guy, the London-based PUA, Nick Krauser. Some guy wrote in my comment section named Franco. I think his first Franco, something. And he basically said the same thing this guy in Orlando said. He said, Alan, I know why you have so many male haters and critics. Particularly, he said even more specifically, a lot of other PUAs and other dating coaches who hate on you. He said, because with your Mode 1 approach, he said, basically, I'm paraphrasing his words, but essentially he said, let's say you're an indirect PUA or a dating coach who promotes indirect game instead of direct game. He said they're almost in a position where they almost have to hate on you. They almost have to hate on you. Why? Because if they don't hate on you, then that would send out the subtle message that direct is at minimum just as effective as indirect, if not somewhat more effective than indirect. And he said in the long run, that would cause them to lose clients. Because guys are going to say to themselves, well, if I can get pretty much the same results being direct that I can being indirect, indirect offers that I can get the same results as indirect while investing far less time and investing far less money, shit, I might as well be direct. And it's true. Think about it. Let's say you were on the fence between following indirect game and following direct game. You were kind of right on the fence. Half of you was leaning towards indirect game, and the other half of you was leaning towards direct game. And you felt like you could get at minimum, the same exact results from women being direct that you could being indirect. 90 to 99% chance you're going to lean towards direct. Why? Because you're going to achieve the same results while investing far less time and far less money. Now, the one intimidating thing about direct is that your ego is going to be bruised more frequently than indirect, which is the main selling point of indirect. Indirect, one of the main selling points of indirect is that it protects those men who have fragile egos and thin skin from having their egos bruised with abrupt rejection. Because see, for a lot of men can't handle quick, straightforward, abrupt rejection, real harsh, abrupt type rejections. That's too bruising to their egos. So again, if you're a guy with a fragile ego or thin skin, you're probably going to always lean towards indirect. Because if nothing else, that's the main selling point of indirect. It protects your ego. Direct does not do that. Direct puts you right in harm's way of having your ego bruised. Like, as I've always pointed out, even the famous movie star George Clooney said in a Playboy interview that he said basically over half the reason why he wanted to become rich and famous was so women would approach him first. He basically wanted to have what I call a lot of mode zero experiences. Mode zero experiences, which is when the woman initiates the conversation with you and basically throws the pussy at you. Because he basically said in so many words, he said, I don't like having my ego bruised. And you talking about handsome, smooth, suave George Clooney. He's considered a ladies' man in Hollywood, even though he's now married. But he said that in a Playboy interview about 10, 15 years ago. He said in so many words, he said, I don't like having my ego bruised with abrupt rejections from women. So that's why indirect is going to always have that selling point. But anyway, going back to the comment the guy made at the 21 convention and the guy recently made in my comment section, he said, if you're an indirect guy, you're going to always try to demonize and hate on direct because you don't want it to make it seem like direct is just as effective, if not more effective, than indirect. You want to always make direct seem like it's far less effective than indirect. That it's far less effective than indirect. And he said the second thing, and again, this guy who commented recently in my comment section said the same thing. He said the second thing why you're going to always have a lot of male haters and critics is because your Mode 1 method is all about balls and backbone. something I emphasize in my book, who said again, balls and backbone. And he said, as a consequence, you make just about any method, other method, particularly indirect methods, seem more cowardly than Mode 1 and seem less masculine than Mode 1. You make guys feel intentionally or unintentionally like if they're not Mode 1, that means they're not as brave as you. They're not as confident and courageous as you. They're not as bold as you. And they're not quite as masculine as you. And he said guys are going to naturally take offense to that, which is going to cause them to hate on you a lot. Hate on you and poke jabs at your Mode 1 method to try to demonize it and destroy the popularity of it because they don't want to feel like they're less of a man than you. So, truthfully, I've always known that assessment that these two guys and other guys have offered. Matter of fact, the one time I offered that assessment myself was back around, I think, 2011 when I used to post on this site called the London Seduction Society Forum. I had some guys on there that asked me, why did I think I had so many male haters? And that was generally the assessment. I offered the same assessment that the guy at the 21 convention and the guy in my comment section offered. That's the same assessment I offered, man. Yeah, man. Indirect PUAs and dating coaches who promote indirect method, they're almost in a position where they have to hate on Mode 1. They have to. It's almost like you can say they almost don't have a choice but to. Now, here's the biggest $1 million question I have. Now, I know I got a lot of probably young guys who follow me, and even more so a lot of black guys who follow me that probably aren't familiar with this website called PUAHate.com. PUAHate.com. It was real popular between, I think the message board started, I want to say, I don't know the official starting date. I think it started in either late 2009 or early 2010. Late 2009 or early 2010. And it lasted all the way up until right after the Elliot Rodger murders. Elliot Rodger, the infamous homicidal incel, he basically killed PUA Hate. The reason why PUA Hate no longer exists is literally specifically because of Elliot Rodgers. Because he used to post on there. Matter of fact, I'm sure he posted on there around the same time I did. I wasn't familiar with him, but yeah, he was posting on PUA Hate. And that's what made them take the site down. But here's the thing about PUA Hate. PUA Hate was all about men who had spent a lot of money learning indirect game for it to not produce any desirable results for them. That's literally like 90% of the reason why you had PUA Hate. Is because a lot of guys around the world had invested money learning game, and specifically indirect game, from conventional PUAs. And when it was all said and done, it really didn't help them improve their romantic success or casual sex success with women. And those guys became bitter about it. A lot of them wanted refunds from these various conventional PUAs. And those PUAs didn't give them refunds. And that was the main motivation for why PUA Hate got started. So the question I have is, if indirect game is so great, why did PUAHate.com ever exist?